Is the torching of buildings and destruction of property the best way to fight for a free higher education? Can the National Student Financial Aid Scheme cope with the ever-increasing higher education enrollment? Is collaboration with SARS helping NSFAS to track down all defaulting debtors? And why are some tertiary students not happy with the way NSFAS operates? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho. Said during his medium budget speech yesterday, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan announced that universities will receive an additional 17 billion rand over the next years. Treasury has allocated 8 billion rand to fund fee increases for 2017 for students from families earning below 600,000 per annum. A further 9 billion rand would be channeled to the National Student Financial Aid Scheme to assist students from poorer families. Meanwhile, a few months ago, SARS issued a notice allowing officials to hand over certain taxpayer information to NSFAS. This as an effort to help the scheme to track down former students who are said to owe it billions on loans. We are live, and therefore you can call us and air your views. The number to dial 089-1104210, our Twitter handle at question time 24. But before we go into today's show, let's firstly take a look at this clip.
In addition to the 16 billion rands added to higher education funding in the February 2016 budget, we therefore propose a further 9 billion rands for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme over the period ahead, raising its funding by over 18% a year. Over 8 billion rands will to meet the costs of fee increases for students from households with incomes up to 600,000 rands.
My guest, Karisho Mamabolo, spokesperson for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS, and Lindoguhle Xulu is the student leader at the University of Johannesburg. Gentlemen, welcome to Question Time. We appreciate you making time. Kulube, let me start with you. Good news from the Minister of Finance. Are you a bit comfortable?
Well, thank you very much for inviting us. We are actually encouraged by the continuous commitment from government, yes, that indeed students that are poor and whose families cannot be able to afford tertiary education will be supported. So this means that those that are very poor need not to worry, because government will continue to pick them up. So yesterday's speech was quite an encouragement for us as NSFAS, and indeed we understand that for the entire sector, most students are quite happy about that.
Well, I understand that from government's point of view, you are playing a very critical role in their quest for or to supply free or what is it, free education or not paid for? I don't know what it is called. How do you see yourself? What role do you see yourself play in as far as this fees subject is concerned?
Well, we are an implementing agent of government, and you would recall that this year we are celebrating our 25th year. So we have an experience of actually introducing free education slowly through provision of loans and bursaries, because part of the loans that we give are converted into bursaries. And at TVET colleges, those are 50 public TVET colleges throughout the country, the students that goes there that are funded by NSFAS get 100% bursaries. Those are not loans. And even our students that are at universities, their final years are getting 100% bursaries, not loan. So our role in the sector really is to implement government's resolve to slowly introduce free education, but also to be an administrator of different funds, because at the moment as NSFAS, we've got about 25 funders that contributes towards our budget. So we kind of know where the students are, and we are trying to make an appeal to anyone out there who wants to fund students to say, come to us, we will channel the money to the right students. That is our role.
Is that enough?
Well, look, when government makes intervention now, we do not know whether to celebrate or to worry, because it seems as if government continue to look for temporary intervention in permanent problems. Our view is that we do not want education to be commodified. NSFAS is part of privatization of education. We want a free education, and we believe that the way government is handling things is not being honest and is spending money that it does not have. We are saying government must come up with a taxation system that will see the rich paying for the children of the poor and the children of the rich. So we are saying that South Africa is one of the most unequal countries in the world, but we do not have a wealth tax in South Africa. So our view is that government must intervene with a legislation that will lead us to have a taxation system that will tax the rich to subsidize the education of the poor.
Do you appreciate what NSFAS is doing?
Well, the challenge with NSFAS, as I said, it keeps black children in debt. Mm-hmm. It puts our people in debt. Our people, if you went to university with a rich kid, when you finish university, you cannot afford certain things. You must pay a certain debt for more than 20 years. If you buy a house, some finish a university owing more than 200,000. So if you buy a house that costs more than 200,000, you pay for more than 10 years. So is that a situation that we need in the country?
Sam, you are in Natalspruit. Sam? Sam?
Yes, Mr. Sedu.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Sedu.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. No, Mr. Sedu. Hello?
Yes, go ahead,
Mr.
Sam.
Sedu, I agree with Linda Kulu then.
Okay.
This thing of this budget, I don't support it, because you see, in the Freedom Charter, they are saying that doors of learning is open and education is free for all. Why now they want to separate abantu manje abanye bazobabhalela abantu abaphuwa nabantu abarich category bazoyibona ngayo indlela leyo nto leyo manje sinikezela thini problem abantu abanikezelwe lento le ku Freedom Charter eyayenzwa abantu bebadraw Freedom Charter le Cape Town abangadlali ngabantu bangadlali ngabantwana they are fighting for the right thing bona abantwana babo njoba lapha eParliament bafunda kubo China bafunda mahala ukuthi baphume emalini zabo bengilalela iSecretary General la umntana ufunda eChina ungathola ukuthi leyo mali iphuma kuyona igovernment free abanikezelele labantwana laba yinto ekhona iANC eyakhuluma ngayo from phambilini.
All right, Sam, thank you. You've made your point, Sam, basically saying there that look, the Freedom Charter promised free education for all. That's what he says, and therefore he supports what the students are doing, and the leaders' children are studying in China, and all that. Whose money are they using? Now, I want to get something very clear here. Are you part of the people who are saying NSFAS must be disbanded?
Yes. Why must we have a pyramid scheme in higher education? NSFAS is more of a triple M situation. So now we do not need to put a triple M in higher education.
Who's benefiting?
We need a clear intervention by government, a sustainable way of doing things. Actually, we need government to start listening, because what is happening, it seems as if government is not listening and is misinterpreting the demands of students.
Okay.
We are saying higher education in this country is underfunded. The country spends less than 0% of the GDP in education. If government can start spending 1.5% of the GDP in higher education, and if government can hold private sector accountable in terms of a higher education sector, we can have a different situation.
Okay, hold it there. We're going to take a quick break. When we return to continue our discussion, please don't go away. The number to dial 089 110 4210 089 110 4210. We shall return.
When When we were little, life felt big, with something new to discover around every corner. Yet somehow, living small became the norm. Until we remember how great living big really is. At Macro, we're still big on being big. Big on convenience, experience, range, and savings. Big on the moments that matter. Rediscover how beautiful it is to be big on life.
4x4 by land, 4x4 by sea, 4x4 by air, cause the lot to fly free. The former country, how it all started out, for the brave and every Boy Scout. 4x4, doing it yourself cause you want it done right. 4x4.
Upgrade from the Jeep Renegade 1.4 Limited Auto to the all-wheel drive for free. For more offers on the Jeep range, visit jeep.co.za or your Jeep dealer today.
4x forever.
Inside us all lurks greatness, bravery, guts, determination. Every time you get down, you get back up. You take us all forward. You raise the bar. And we salute you, party comrade, with a Heineken Cool Can and Strongbow Apple Cider 6-pack combo for just 100 Rand from Tops at Spa.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. Our guest today, Kagisho Mamabulo, is the spokesperson of the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS, whereas Lindo Guhlekulu is a student leader at the University of Johannesburg, and we're continuing our discussion around the fees must fall movement. Now, Kagisho, as NSFAS, you are not doing very well to recoup the monies that you spend on students. Now you're saying SARS must help you. Is that the best way?
Well, there are a number of ways that we are putting in place to ensure that our students are able to contribute. One of the reasons why we are involved in SARS is simply because when the National Credit Act was introduced, part of garnishing that we were using as NSFAS to deduct our repayments from the students was removed. So we couldn't deduct. We had to get positive consent from the students.
Okay.
And our students then changed their numbers. It became very difficult for us to trace them. So the involvement of SARS is actually to help us to get in touch of those students, to know where they are working, and also to be able to enter into some kind of repayment system with them that is affordable for them.
Murake, you are in Klerksdorp.
Yes, sir.
Yes, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, my concern is, education. Academic program should be completed this year. And I hear people talking about the Freedom Charter. We should understand the Freedom Charter. The Freedom Charter says there shall be free and compulsory higher education based on merit.
Oh.
That must be understood.
Yes.
The free and compulsory education is basically for basic education. That is from grade R to grade 12. And the government is trying. We are all aware that yesterday the Minister of Finance has allocated billions for funding free education.
Yes.
So I would like to appeal to students, please let us be conscious of our academic program. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, students must be conscious for how they are campaigning, worried about the academic schedule.
Yes, well, we are really worried, especially about the lack of intervention by government on the matter, because it's what perpetrates the situation. If the government will intervene and open up engagement, because what we need to come, all of us, to come up with solutions to this crisis we're facing. But government is engaging the situation through media briefing.
But you are also very violent lately.
One must really need to unpack the violence, or the so-called violence.
Justify it, you mean?
not to justify it, but to appreciate the fact that if you look into Christmas fall of last year, when the behavior of the state was not as it is right now, there was no violence. So one will therefore need to understand that the oppressed will hardly be violent, will act in self-defense. So the situation on the ground is that the state is extremely violent.
How do you defend yourself by banning a bus or a library?
Well, when there's a lack of leadership in the country, that will happen. It means
on the part of students.
It means that there's a lack of intergenerational engagement. If the elders are not there to safeguard the young ones and open up engagement.
Are you saying that I must go back to TEFLUOP and say I was a student leader here at TEFLUOP and therefore we need to guide your struggles today?
We are simply saying that the old leadership, whether from all the political parties, even from the EFF, must be able, from the ANC Youth League, from the ANC, must be able to listen and to give guidance and leadership.
But how do you want to be told that you must not ban a library when you protest? How do you want to be told that you must not ban property or destroy properties?
And we must also try and understand that who are banning this institution.
It's students.
Let us go to UJ, for instance. You had a situation where an auditorium was banned. And the university was paying more than 2.9 million rand on bouncers. So now that university, that building was heavily guided by the bouncers the time it banned. So and people who were actually suspended by the time the building banned were then accused of banning the very same building. So now here you have a situation where universities have opened tenders for security companies, and it is possible also that these security companies that are deployed in these universities are starting now to desperately look into ways of extending their contracts and looking for their stays in universities. So the main perpetrator of this situation is people who are closing the dialogue. If we can have engagements, that situation will not see why there was no
let's take Francois.
Anything last week.
Francois, sorry for making you hold for so long. Welcome.
No problem. Paul, how are you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, Francois.
Great. My pleasure, man. Paul,
yes.
When we look at the situation, especially the young ladies, young men, the students, one could only say that, we have to be, as a public and also fathers and mothers of this country, be empathetic and sympathetic towards them, their situation. Now, we can not actually add more fuel to the fire that is burning. Now, what are the solutions? One will have to look at it. You look at a few things. Young people are getting blamed for all this. You can never blame a fire when a house is on fire, about, the fire that is burning. You look at the spark, because the spark actually caused that fire. Now, what I'm saying is this. Is free education feasible? I would say emphatically yes. Why? Let's look at figures. 250 million spent around, in Kandla. If only, say, 10 million would have been spent there, one wouldn't have, made a hullabaloo about the whole thing. But 250 million, say if 240 was actually spent to subsidize the education, then obviously I think there would have been...
Okay, Francois, thank you very much for that point. But let me get to NSFAS. NSFAS, let's also agree that you are not providing free education.
In what sense?
In the sense that what you pay, you want it back.
Maybe let's agree. What is free?
No, but let's not play semantics. Are you providing free education?
Well, they are not providing free education.
We are providing free education.
Then why do you want students to pay it back if it is free? Like I
said, we have a model that has both loans and bursaries, and our loans are convertible into bursaries. So if you pass and you do well academically, part of your loan is converted as an incentive. And we do that for your first year, second year, and finally it becomes 100% a bursary. TVET colleges, it's 100% bursary. And you must recall that NSFAS of today is different from NSFAS of 1991.
From TAFSA.
From TAFSA at the time.
Yes.
You know, I'm a beneficiary of NSFAS. Probably you are, and most of us who are in this newsroom are beneficiaries of NSFAS. And we're very proud of the fact that if it wasn't of NSFAS, we wouldn't be here where we are. But I'm particularly proud that by contributing back, I'm actually able to fund more students who are in the same situation that I was back then. So this is a a cycle where we are reinvesting the money. It's not supposed to be really looked into a loan scheme or a debt trap, because if you compare it with commercial banks that gives loan, they charge interest immediately when you get your loan. NSFAS doesn't do that. For as long as you are active as a student, there's no interest that is charged. Interest is charged only when you get out of the system, and 12 months after you're out of the system, and it's charged 80% of the repo rate, which is the lowest you can get.
Let's take Veronica. Veronica, Mount Fletcher.
Yes, Woody.
Welcome.
Woody. Veronica apha Fletcher. Ndicela ukuthi nje ndiyacela ubhuti NSFAS angayithethi le nto ayithethayo ka-100%. Ndinomntana ufunde eKhala College. Akanamali eyokutya, nditsho eyokubhatala irent.
Lo college ntoni? FET okanye ntoni?
Kodwa ungekambhatalela namhlanje. Uyayiphinda-phinda, ndicela iyeke u-NSFAS ayikho le nto ino-NSFAS phakathi.
Ngubani oxokayo ke ngoku?
U-NSFAS lo othi unika abantwana ibhasari 100% kwii-TVET colleges. That is not true. I've got umntana osekolejini, sithetha nje akanakutya, akanamali yerent.
Jini?
Usokola mna ndingenayo nesenti, funeke ndizame imali, kodwa umane sithi apha ukhupha 100%. Uphi lo 100%?
Ibambe ke Veronica, ibambe njalo ke siva uba uthini ke xa siziphendulela ke yena sis Veronica there in Mount Fletcher saying there's nothing truthful in what NSFAS is saying. She's paying her daughter's fees at an FET in the Eastern Cape. Let's hear from NSFAS.
Well, I can tell you about the 400,000 students that we are currently in our system for 2016. I can tell you about all the first-year students that went to university this year that qualify for NSFAS, that we never turn them back. And I can tell you about many more other students that managed to fill their applications on time, attach the right documents, and we assess them according to the means test. But I can also admit that there are some of the students that fell through the cracks because of the administrative inefficiencies. And as a result, as NSFAS, we are centralizing the system. We want to say that we will now decide on our students, we will award them bursaries ourselves. We won't then let universities do that job.
I can tell you about a lot of girls and boys who are beneficiaries of NSFAS who sleep in the street of Melville, who cannot have money for their books, who have to share books in class, who don't have money for food, who don't have even money for sanitary pads. It's a painful situation. The NSFAS system is failing. The NSFAS system is part of the problem, is part of the commodification of the education system. NSFAS must be scrapped out. It's a failed project. You say you are the generation of TAFSA. The painful situation is that after 1994, when actually there was a demand of higher education in the country, there was a decline in funding. So the state has been underfunding higher education system in the country when actually the demand was rising. So I still believe, I still hold the view that government is not listening they are approaching models, or they are trying to implement models that they've seen somewhere, but models that are not responding accordingly to the needs of the people on the ground. I have a child called Zanele in my township, in my street. She was studying, she was passing well, she never got NSFAS. She applied on time. There's always, if NSFAS was effective, you'll never have a situation where you are told that you are not accepted to study in the university because there's underfunding.
Okay.
Perhaps not sufficient funding.
Finally, how many students are you likely to fund next year? Let's talk numbers here.
Well, the numbers come from institutions depending on their enrollment targets, because we are a funder. So we wait institutions to give us those funding. But government said all qualifying students must be allowed into the system.
Okay. We have run out of time. And that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guest and to you for watching the show. From me and the entire crew, you have yourself a wonderful time. Hi, Bechot.